My name is Carrie James, 29 years old, and a marketing specialist at ElevateX. Building my Instagram about digital marketing was my passion project, my creative outlet outside the corporate walls. I was thrilled when this prestigious agency hired me, thinking my social media expertise would be valued. Then I overheard our HR director laughing with her team. She really thinks she is an influencer, they mocked, scrolling through my account. 1 week later, our $5 million campaign imploded spectacularly. Karma works in mysterious ways. If you are watching this video, drop a comment letting me know where you are viewing from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you want more real stories about corporate life and the sweet taste of professional justice. ElevateX Media was not just any marketing agency. As one of the top 10 firms in New York City, they commanded respect and attracted the most prestigious clients, luxury fashion brands, exclusive resorts, celebrities seeking image rehabilitation. Their sleek office occupied 3 floors of a glass skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan, with exposed brick walls, open concept workspaces, and motivational quotes about creativity and innovation painted in vibrant colors. Walking into their office each morning felt like entering a carefully curated Instagram post. Everyone dressed impeccably, carried designer coffee cups, and spoke in marketing buzzwords that would make outsiders roll their eyes. The aesthetic screamed progressive modern workplace, but beneath that carefully polished surface lurked something far more traditional and rigid. The company leadership consisted almost entirely of middle-aged men who had cut their teeth in traditional marketing channels, print television, and radio. While they paid lip service to digital transformation, their hearts remained with the old guard media. The company hierarchy was rigid despite the casual dress code and ping-pong tables in the break room. Longtime employees commanded respect regardless of their performance, while newer hires with digital expertise struggled to have their voices heard. I joined ElevateX with high hopes after 6 years in the industry. My background was solid marketing degree from the University of Michigan, followed by positions of increasing responsibility at smaller agencies in Chicago. My specialty was digital marketing analytics, finding patterns in data that could drive more effective campaigns. But my true passion was my Instagram account. With 45,000 followers, I had built a respectable platform sharing practical digital marketing advice. No get-rich-quick schemes or vague inspirational quotes, just actionable strategies from the marketing trenches. I analyzed successful campaigns, broke down the psychology behind viral content, and shared honest insights about the industry. My followers appreciated the authenticity, and I loved having a creative outlet separate from my day job. When I interviewed at ElevateX, I mentioned my Instagram as part of my portfolio. Michael Reynolds, the chief marketing officer who interviewed me, seemed impressed by my follower count, but more focused on my experience with traditional marketing campaigns. He was 51 with salt and pepper hair and expensive suits that screamed old-school advertising executive. He hired me but made it clear my role would primarily involve client presentations and strategy development, not social media. "We have a whole digital team for that," he said, with a dismissive wave of his hand. "We need your analytical mind and presentation skills." I was disappointed, but understood. Many traditional agencies still viewed social media as something for the younger staff to handle, not a critical business strategy. I figured I could prove my digital expertise over time and gradually bring my two worlds together. My direct supervisor was Ethan Morris, the 38-year-old creative director who managed our team of 8 marketing specialists. He had a reputation for brilliant traditional advertising concepts but limited understanding of digital platforms. Tall and lanky with hipster glasses, he dressed like someone trying desperately to appear younger and more creative than his corporate mindset allowed. "Social media is great for awareness," he would say during meetings, "but real brands are built through comprehensive campaigns." This was code for prioritizing television and print over digital channels. Within a month of starting, I found an ally in Rachel Kim, a 31-year-old content strategist who had been with the company for 3 years. She shared my frustration with the company's resistance to digital transformation. "They want the prestige of being innovative, without actually innovating," she told me during our first lunch together. Rachel became my workplace confidant, the person I could vent to when my ideas were shot down in meetings. Then there was Jessica Andrews, the 42-year-old director of human resources, who had been with ElevateX for 15 years. She presented herself as the guardian of company culture, constantly talking about respect, inclusion, and employee well-being. With her perfectly styled blonde bob and collection of statement necklaces, she looked like she had walked out of a corporate training video on professional appearance. "Our people are our greatest asset," was her favorite phrase repeated in every all-hands meeting. She organized team-building activities and wellness programs, but had a reputation for protecting senior leadership rather than addressing employee concerns. When I arrived, the agency was buzzing about landing a $5 million campaign for Lux Elite, an ultra-premium fashion brand looking to rejuvenate their image and connect with younger, affluent consumers. The campaign would be their biggest of the year, and everyone wanted to be involved. Ethan was appointed to lead the project, and he selected a team that included me based on my experience with luxury brands in Chicago. During our initial brainstorming sessions, I suggested incorporating influencer partnerships to extend the campaign's reach. Influencer marketing is particularly effective for luxury fashion. I explained, showing data from successful campaigns I had analyzed on my Instagram. Ethan exchanged glances with the senior team members. "We have a different approach in mind," he said. "Lux Elite needs sophisticated brand positioning, not social media tricks." I bit my tongue and nodded, but continued to develop digital strategy recommendations on my own time. I submitted a detailed proposal for an integrated approach that would maintain the brand's exclusive image while leveraging digital channels for broader reach. My document ended up buried in the shared drive with no feedback or acknowledgement. This became a pattern over my first 3 months. I would develop thorough data-backed recommendations for digital strategies, only to have them dismissed without serious consideration. Meanwhile, I continued building my Instagram presence in the evenings and weekends, finding fulfillment in connecting with marketing professionals who valued my insights. Little did I know that my personal passion project was being closely watched and cruelly judged by the very people tasked with fostering a positive work environment. The Friday it happened started like any other day. I arrived at the office early, prepared for our weekly status meeting on the Lux Elite campaign, and delivered my portion of the presentation without incident. The timeline was tight with the campaign launch just 6 weeks away, and tension was building among the team members as deadlines loomed. After most of the staff had left for the weekend, I stayed behind to finish a competitive analysis report that Ethan had requested for Monday morning. Around 7:30, I realized I had left my phone in the break room during my late afternoon coffee run. Stretching after hours hunched over my laptop, I walked down the hallway toward the break room. As I passed a small conference room with the door slightly ajar, I heard laughter, the kind that comes at someone else's expense. Something made me slow my steps. Then, I heard my name. "Carrie really thinks she is an influencer," said a voice I immediately recognized as Jessica from HR. More laughter followed. I froze my hand, instinctively reaching for the wall to steady myself. Through the small opening in the door, I could see Jessica sitting with 3 other women from the HR department, all hunched over a phone, scrolling and laughing. "Look at this one," said a younger HR representative whose name I could not recall. 300 ways to optimize your Instagram strategy," as if she is some kind of expert. "The way she talks in these videos so serious," another added, "like she is giving a TED talk about posting pictures." My stomach dropped as I realized they were scrolling through my Instagram account, mocking the content I had spent years building, the advice that had helped thousands of followers improve their marketing strategies. "Did you see her bio?" Jessica snorted. "Digital marketing strategist and thought leader, please." "The sad thing is, she actually has followers," someone commented. "Probably bought them," Jessica replied. "She was hired for her traditional marketing experience, not for this social media nonsense. Michael barely looks at this stuff when hiring. Her outfit in this one is so inappropriate for someone claiming to be a professional," another voice chimed in. The critique continued, becoming more personal with each comment. They criticized my appearance, my voice, the way I gestured while explaining concepts. Every aspect of my online presence became fodder for their entertainment. I stood paralyzed, my face burning with humiliation. These were the people responsible for creating a respectful workplace environment, the same ones who sent company-wide emails about dignity and professionalism. My hands trembled as I backed away, silently abandoning my phone rather than risk being discovered. The elevator ride down 18 floors felt endless. My mind raced between shock, embarrassment, and growing anger. By the time I reached the street, tears threatened to spill, but I held them back, unwilling to give in to the emotion in public. The weekend passed in a blur of conflicting emotions. At first, I considered deleting my Instagram account entirely. If these marketing professionals thought I was a joke, maybe I was deluding myself about my expertise. I scrutinized my content through their critical eyes, second-guessing every post, every piece of advice I had shared. Then came anger. Who were they to judge my passion project? My followers found value in my content, engaged meaningfully with my posts, and often reached out to thank me for helping them understand complex marketing concepts. I had built my platform authentically, never buying followers or engagement. By Saturday evening, the humiliation had transformed into something deeper, a profound sense of betrayal. Jessica Andrews, who spoke so eloquently about respect in the workplace, had led a cruel mockery session targeting a colleague. The hypocrisy was staggering. Rachel called on Sunday to check in on a project, and I found myself confiding in her about what I had overheard. Those petty, insecure vultures, she fumed after I finished telling her what happened. Jessica is the worst kind of workplace bully, the kind who pretends to champion corporate values while undermining them behind closed doors. I am considering looking for another job, I admitted. I cannot work in an environment where the HR director herself participates in this kind of behavior. Do not let them drive you out, Rachel urged. You have options here. You could report it to Michael, though Jessica has been here forever and they are pretty tight. You could confront her directly, but that might make things uncomfortable given her position. Or I could pretend I never heard anything I said. That is an option too, Rachel acknowledged. But will you be able to face her in meetings knowing what she really thinks of you? By Monday morning, I had decided to continue my work professionally, while maintaining emotional distance from Jessica and her team. I retrieved my phone from the break room, first thing half expecting to find it tampered with, but it appeared untouched. Jessica smiled warmly when we passed in the hallway, the perfect picture of HR professionalism. Happy Monday, Carrie. How was your weekend? Fine, thanks, I replied, my voice steady, despite the knot in my stomach. Her duplicity was remarkable, not a hint of recognition that I might have overheard her cruel comments. Throughout the week, I noticed subtle changes in the office environment. Conversations would stop abruptly when I entered the break room. I caught sideways glances from members of the HR team during company meetings. My suggestions in brainstorming sessions were dismissed more quickly than usual, often without explanation. Most disturbing was the appearance of anonymous negative comments on my recent Instagram posts, questioning my expertise and professionalism in language, eerily similar to what I had overheard in the conference room. I could not prove these came from my colleagues, but the timing seemed too coincidental to ignore. Rachel confirmed my suspicions during lunch on Thursday. The HR team has been weirdly interested in you this week, she whispered across the table. I overheard two of them discussing your presentation style yesterday, saying you try too hard to sound authoritative. So it was not just that one conversation, I said, pushing my salad around the plate, appetite gone. They are actually invested in tearing me down. Some people build themselves up by knocking others down, Rachel replied, and your Instagram success probably threatens them. Jessica has been trying to increase her LinkedIn presence for years with minimal engagement. The realization that professional jealousy might be driving their behavior provided little comfort. Each day became an exercise in maintaining my composure while feeling increasingly isolated and scrutinized. What I did not realize was that this painful experience was about to collide spectacularly with the company's most important project of the year. 2 weeks after the incident, Michael called an all-company meeting to make a major announcement about the Lux Elite campaign. The conference room buzzed with anticipation as everyone gathered, marketing professionals straightening their posture when the CMO entered the room. I am thrilled to announce that we have secured Amanda Taylor as the face of the Lux Elite campaign, Michael announced, with obvious pride, displaying a slide showing the famous actress and social media personality. With her 15 million followers across platforms and recent success in the streaming series, Royal Facade Amanda represents the perfect blend of traditional celebrity and digital influence. I nearly choked on my coffee. Just 3 weeks earlier, I had specifically suggested approaching influencers with both traditional media presence and strong social followings, only to be told that Lux Elite preferred a classic advertising approach. Amanda Taylor was 35, known for her fashion-forward style and outspoken advocacy for various social causes. She had transitioned successfully from teen television star to respected actress while building an impressive social media presence. She was exactly the type of partner I had recommended. Ethan will be leading the creative direction, Michael continued, with support teams assigned to various aspects of the campaign. This will be our largest project this quarter, with $5 million allocated to production media placement and talent fees. After the meeting, Ethan pulled me aside. Carrie, I am assigning you to assist with content development for the campaign materials. You will work with the junior copywriters to ensure messaging consistency. It was a supporting role at best, with no opportunity to influence strategy or contribute my digital marketing expertise. When I asked about social media integration, Ethan gave a dismissive smile. The digital team will handle that aspect. We need you focused on the traditional marketing materials. Over the next week, I noticed alarming issues with the campaign strategy. The social media components seemed disconnected from the main creative concept, with no cohesive strategy for translating the sophisticated print advertisements to Instagram and TikTok formats. The content calendar failed to account for optimal posting times or platform-specific requirements. During a team meeting, I cautiously raised these concerns. The current digital strategy might not maximize engagement across platforms. I have some recommendations for better integration that would improve performance metrics. Jessica, who was sitting in on the meeting as the HR representative for the project, gave me a cold smile. Perhaps we should focus on our assigned responsibilities rather than trying to expand our roles. The digital team has this well in hand. Her comment carried a double meaning that was not lost on me. She was not just dismissing my professional input, but also taking a subtle jab at my Instagram presence. After the meeting, I overheard her speaking to Ethan in the hallway. Some employees seem more interested in building their personal brand than contributing to team objectives, she said just loudly enough for me to hear as I passed. The situation worsened when I discovered concerning information about Amanda Taylor's contract. While researching her recent partnerships to better understand her brand positioning, I came across an interview where she discussed her contractual requirements. I include a workplace dignity clause in all my contracts now, she explained in the magazine feature. After witnessing toxic environments in the entertainment industry, I refuse to partner with companies that do not treat their employees with respect. My team thoroughly vets potential partners before I sign anything. Further research revealed that Amanda was a vocal advocate for workplace mental health and had previously canceled a partnership after allegations of employee mistreatment surfaced at the company in question. She regularly posted content supporting healthy work cultures and had recently launched a podcast about workplace well-being. This information sent alarm bells ringing. If Amanda discovered how ElevateX's HR department behaved behind closed doors, the entire campaign could be at risk. I debated whether to share this concern with Ethan, weighing my professional responsibility against the likely dismissal of my input. Eventually, I decided to approach him privately. I have been researching Amanda Taylor's previous partnerships. I began carefully and noticed she has very specific requirements regarding company culture and employee treatment. Given her public stance on workplace respect, we might want to ensure our approach aligns with her values. Ethan frowned. Are you suggesting our company culture is problematic? Not at all, I backpedaled, realizing my mistake. I just think we should highlight our positive workplace initiatives when presenting to her team. It appears to be particularly important to her brand. This sounds like you are trying to insert yourself into account management, he replied. The relationship with Amanda is being handled at the executive level. Your concern is noted but unnecessary. Later that day, Michael sent a company-wide email announcing accelerated timelines for the campaign, with Amanda scheduled to arrive for the initial creative briefing in just 2 weeks. The pressure intensified, with late nights becoming the norm for everyone involved in the project. Increasingly, I found myself excluded from key email threads and planning meetings. The assignments I received became more mundane: proofreading, copy formatting, presentation decks, compiling competitive research without being asked to provide analysis. Rachel warned me during one of our coffee breaks that my situation was precarious. Jessica has been talking to the leadership team, she whispered. I overheard her telling Michael that you seem more invested in your personal projects than company priorities. She specifically mentioned your Instagram account. That is completely unfair, I protested. I work on my Instagram outside office hours. It has never interfered with my work here. I know that, but perception becomes reality in corporate politics, Rachel replied. Be careful. Document everything you are doing for this campaign. By the end of the week, the atmosphere had become unbearable. I was clearly being sidelined on the biggest project of the year my expertise ignored, while simultaneously being subjected to whispered criticisms and professional undermining. What I did not realize was that the universe was about to offer an unexpected connection that would dramatically change the course of events. The notification appeared on a Tuesday evening as I was updating my Instagram content calendar. Amanda Taylor started following you. I stared at my phone in disbelief, assuming it must be a fan account or impersonator. A quick check confirmed it was indeed Amanda Taylor's verified account with 15 million followers. Curiosity got the better of me, and I checked her following list. Not only had she just followed me, but according to the timestamp, she had been following my account for several months. Even more surprising, she had liked dozens of my posts over that time period, including several in-depth analyses of successful fashion marketing campaigns. As I was processing this discovery, a direct message arrived. Hi, Carrie. I have been following your content for a while and really appreciate your marketing insights. They have helped me understand the business side of my partnerships much better. I just found out you work at ElevateX, which I am potentially collaborating with. Would love to chat sometime about your experience there. My heart raced as I read the message several times. Amanda Taylor, the celebrity who was about to become the face of our $5 million campaign, had been a silent follower of my supposedly amateur Instagram account. The same account that Jessica and her team had mercilessly mocked. I sat frozen, unsure how to respond. Professional etiquette suggested I should say only positive things about my employer to a potential client. But there was something genuine about Amanda's message that made me hesitate to offer a generic corporate response. After nearly an hour of deliberation, I replied, "Thank you so much for following and for the kind words about my content. Yes, I am currently at ElevateX working on various projects. Happy to chat about the industry anytime." Her response came quickly. "Great, I am particularly interested in the company culture there. I am very selective about partnerships and like to know how agencies treat their teams. My past experiences have taught me that how companies treat their employees usually reflects in the quality of their work and their ethical standards." The question placed me in an impossible position. Lie to protect a company that had marginalized me and allowed its HR department to engage in workplace bullying, or be honest with someone who clearly valued authenticity and might be making a major career decision based on my input. I spent the entire night contemplating my response, drafting and deleting multiple versions. By morning, I had decided on an approach that felt both honest and professional. ElevateX has many talented professionals and impressive client work, I wrote. Like any agency, it has strengths and challenges. The creative output is generally strong, though there can be disconnects between traditional and digital approaches. Regarding culture, my experience has been mixed. There are supportive colleagues, and also situations that have been less than ideal from a respect standpoint. I value authenticity, so I want to be honest, while recognizing that others may have different experiences. I purposely avoided mentioning specific incidents or naming Jessica instead, providing a balanced view that acknowledged both positives and challenges. After sending the message, anxiety kept me awake. Had I been too honest? Would this somehow get back to management? Would Amanda think I was being unprofessional by not giving a glowing endorsement? "Thank you for your candor," Amanda replied the next morning. "That aligns with some things I have heard through industry contacts. Without asking you to break confidences, have you personally experienced or witnessed disrespectful behavior there?" After another careful deliberation, I responded, "I recently overheard senior HR personnel mocking my professional social media presence, specifically this Instagram account, in a way that felt inconsistent with the respectful culture company claims to promote. It was disappointing, especially coming from those tasked with maintaining workplace standards." "That is concerning, but unfortunately not surprising," Amanda wrote back. "Thank you for trusting me with this information. I assure you it will not be attributed to you in any way." A week passed with no further communication from Amanda. I began to worry that I had overstepped by sharing my experience, potentially jeopardizing both the campaign and my job. Maybe she had been making polite conversation, and I had misinterpreted her interest. I threw myself into my work, trying to push the exchange from my mind. Then came Monday morning, and an urgent email from Michael's assistant emergency meeting regarding Lux Elite campaign. All team members report to main conference room immediately. When I arrived, the tension in the room was palpable. Senior leadership sat grim-faced at the head of the table. Ethan paced nervously by the windows. Jessica sat with perfect posture, her expression unreadable. No one spoke as more team members filtered in. Michael burst through the door 5 minutes later, his face flushed with barely contained anger. Without greeting anyone, he tossed a tablet onto the conference table with such force that several people jumped. Amanda Taylor has pulled out of the campaign, he announced, his voice tight. $5 million and countless hours of work down the drain, because apparently we do not meet her ethical standards. A collective gasp filled the room, followed by stunned silence. Michael picked up the tablet and read from an email. After careful consideration, I must withdraw from the Lux Elite campaign, effective immediately. My contract includes a workplace dignity clause that prevents me from partnering with organizations that do not maintain respectful environments for their employees. Information has come to my attention regarding the mockery of staff members by your HR department, which violates my personal and professional standards. I cannot, in good conscience, represent a brand that allows such behavior from those entrusted with maintaining workplace culture. Michael looked up, his gaze locking onto Jessica. She specifically mentions an incident involving mockery of a staff member's professional social media presence by HR personnel. His eyes shifted to me. The name Carrie James was mentioned as the target of this mockery. Would anyone care to explain what the hell is going on? All eyes in the room turned to me, then to Jessica, whose perfectly composed facade had finally cracked, her face draining of color as the implications became clear. The moment of reckoning had arrived. The conference room erupted into chaos. Several people started speaking at once, demanding explanations. Jessica recovered quickly from her initial shock, her expression hardening as she pointed at me. This is clearly a case of sabotage, she declared loudly over the commotion. Carrie must have contacted Amanda directly to undermine the campaign. Ethan slammed his portfolio onto the table. Do you have any idea what you have done? $5 million. $5 million. Our biggest campaign of the year destroyed because you, what felt offended, had your feelings hurt. Enough, Michael's voice cut through the noise. Everyone except Carrie, Jessica, and Ethan out, now. As the room cleared, my heart hammered in my chest. This was the moment I had dreaded since responding to Amanda's message. Yet there was also a strange sense of relief that the situation was finally coming to a head. When the door closed behind the last exiting team member, Michael turned to me. Explain, now. I took a deep breath. 2 weeks ago, I overheard Jessica and several HR team members mocking my Instagram account. They were laughing about my content, criticizing my appearance, and suggesting I had delusions about being an influencer. This happened after hours when they thought no one was around. This is ridiculous, Jessica interrupted. We may have had a private conversation about professional boundaries and personal branding, but it was hardly mockery. As for Amanda Taylor, I continued ignoring Jessica's interjection. She has been following my Instagram account for months. She reached out to me after discovering I worked at ElevateX, asking about the company culture. I was honest but professional. I did not seek her out or attempt to sabotage anything. Show me these messages, Michael demanded. I unlocked my phone and handed it to him, watching as he scrolled through my exchange with Amanda. His expression remained unreadable, but the muscle twitching in his jaw suggested barely contained anger. You told a potential $5 million client that our HR department engages in mockery and disrespect, he said finally. I answered her question honestly. When she specifically asked about respectful treatment, I replied, fighting to keep my voice steady. I did not volunteer the information or suggest she should withdraw from the campaign. This is preposterous, Jessica interjected. She clearly manipulated the situation to make herself look like a victim. We need to consider termination for interfering with client relationships. Michael raised his hand to silence her, then turned his laptop around to show an email. Amanda sent this directly to me and the CEO this morning. She attached screenshots of what appears to be Jessica and her team viewing Carrie's Instagram and making disparaging comments. These were not taken by Carrie. Jessica paled. That is impossible. We were alone in that room. Apparently not alone enough, Michael replied coldly. These appear to have been taken by someone else in your department who was uncomfortable with the conversation. Amanda says she received these anonymously last week. The revelation stunned everyone into silence. Someone on Jessica's own team had documented the mockery and sent evidence to Amanda. Furthermore, Michael continued, Amanda forwarded her communication with Carrie. From what I can see, Carrie was actually quite restrained in her description of the incident and spoke positively about the company's creative work. She did not encourage Amanda to withdraw or disparage ElevateX as an organization. Ethan, who had been quietly seething, spoke up. Regardless of how it happened, we have now lost our biggest campaign of the quarter. Lux Elite is demanding an explanation, and we look completely unprofessional. That is the least of our problems, Michael responded. Our legal team is reviewing Amanda's contract. The workplace dignity clause gives her solid grounds for withdrawal without penalty. Beyond that, we now have evidence of our HR director engaging in workplace harassment, which opens us up to serious liability issues. Jessica started to protest, but Michael cut her off. I am placing you on administrative leave effective immediately while we conduct an investigation. Please gather your personal items and leave your company devices with IT before departing. Jessica stood up, her face rigid with suppressed emotion. This is an overreaction to a minor incident being blown out of proportion. I have given 15 years to this company. Which makes your behavior even more disappointing, Michael replied. We will discuss your future with the company after the investigation concludes. After Jessica left, Michael turned to Ethan. Assemble what is left of the team. We need damage control strategies for Lux Elite and a plan to salvage what we can of this campaign. What about Carrie? Ethan asked, glancing at me with an unreadable expression. Michael considered me for a long moment. She stays, and she will be part of the recovery planning. Alone with Michael after Ethan departed, I prepared for my own reprimand. You could have come to me directly about what happened, he said quietly. Would you have believed me over Jessica? She has been here for 15 years. I have been here for 4 months. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Fair point. But now we have a mess that could have been avoided. With all due respect, I replied, finding courage I did not know. The mess was created when your HR director decided it was appropriate to mock an employee's professional development efforts. My only mistake was being honest when directly asked about my experience. Michael studied me with newfound interest. You know, when I hired you, I was impressed by your analytical skills and experience with traditional marketing. I dismissed your social media background as a side project. That was clearly a mistake on my part. His admission surprised me. It was never about choosing one over the other. Effective marketing integrates both approaches. Well, he said, standing up to end our conversation, it seems your integrated approach has certainly made an impact, though not in the way any of us expected. Report to the strategy room at 2. We have a campaign to salvage, and not much time to do it. As I left Michael's office, I found Rachel waiting anxiously in the hallway. Is it true Jessica is suspended and Amanda Taylor pulled out because of what they did to you? I nodded, still processing the morning's events. Rachel hugged me tightly. It is about time someone stood up to the toxic culture she has been fostering for years. You know, she has driven at least 3 talented people out of the company with her targeted harassment. I never intended for any of this to happen, I admitted. Sometimes justice finds its own path, Rachel replied. Now, are you ready to help save this campaign? Because I have some ideas, and for once people might actually listen to us. As word spread throughout the office about Jessica's suspension and the campaign crisis, I noticed a shift in how colleagues interacted with me. Some avoided eye contact, clearly uncomfortable with the disruption to the status quo. Others offered quiet words of support, or shared their own stories of problematic interactions with HR. By the time the emergency strategy meeting began that afternoon, a strange new reality had taken shape. The established power structure had been upended, and for better or worse, I found myself at the center of a corporate reckoning that would transform ElevateX forever. The fallout from Amanda's withdrawal was swift and far-reaching. The day after Jessica's suspension, the CEO announced an independent investigation into workplace culture at ElevateX. An outside consulting firm specialized in organizational behavior and HR compliance was brought in to conduct confidential interviews with all employees. Initially, people were hesitant to speak openly, fearful of retaliation despite assurances of anonymity. But as the first week progressed, something remarkable happened. One brave account manager shared a story of being humiliated in a client meeting by a senior executive. This opened the floodgates, with more employees coming forward with their experiences. The investigators uncovered a pattern of problematic behavior extending far beyond Jessica's department. Several senior leaders had fostered a culture where public criticism was normalized, taking credit for junior staff's work was common, and favoritism determined advancement more than merit. Women and younger employees with digital expertise reported being systematically sidelined in major client projects. Meanwhile, Michael assembled a crisis management team to address the immediate challenge of the failed campaign. To my surprise, he included me in this small group. "Carrie, I want you to lead our digital strategy for whatever we develop next," he said during our second planning session. "Your Instagram clearly resonates with people, including Amanda Taylor. We need that authentic perspective now, more than ever." Ethan, who had been skeptical of my involvement, gradually changed his tone after reviewing my previous proposals that had been ignored. These recommendations about platform-specific content adaptation could have prevented some of our integration issues, he admitted reluctantly during a late-night strategy session. I should have given them more consideration. 3 days after the implosion, Michael called me into his office. The circles under his eyes testified to sleepless nights dealing with the crisis. "I need your honest assessment," he said, without preamble. "Can we salvage this relationship with Amanda Taylor?" I considered carefully before answering. Possibly, but only with a completely different approach. Amanda values authenticity and ethical business practices. If we demonstrate real change, not just damage control, she might reconsider. What would that look like in practical terms? A complete reimagining of the campaign, I suggested. Instead of using her celebrity to elevate the brand, we create something that aligns with her values around workplace dignity. Something authentic that acknowledges what happened and shows how we are changing as a result. Michael leaned back in his chair, studying me with new respect. "Develop that concept. I want a full proposal by tomorrow afternoon." I worked through the night with Rachel, crafting a new campaign concept we called Authentic Elevation. Rather than the originally planned glamorous fashion shoot, we proposed a documentary-style approach, following Lux Elite's ethical production processes and the real people behind their products. For Amanda's role, we suggested she host conversations with employees throughout the supply chain, from design to manufacturing to retail, highlighting dignity in the workplace as a core brand value. The social media strategy would feature unfiltered, behind-the-scenes content, inviting followers to participate in discussions about ethical fashion and workplace respect. When we presented the concept, Michael was silent for a long moment after we finished. "This is radically different from anything we have done before," he finally said. "It positions Lux Elite not just as a luxury brand, but as a thought leader in ethical business practices." Ethan nodded slowly. "It is risky, but given the circumstances, continuing with a traditional approach seems riskier." "Get it ready to present to Lux Elite tomorrow," Michael decided. "And Carrie, I want you to contact Amanda personally. See if she would be willing to hear us out." My heart raced as I drafted a message to Amanda that evening. I explained the new direction, honestly acknowledging what had happened and detailing the changes underway at Elevatex. I emphasized that we were not asking her to ignore her principles, but rather inviting her to be part of a genuine transformation. "Your stand for workplace dignity has catalyzed real change here," I wrote. "We would be honored if you would consider being part of a campaign that authentically reflects those values." Her response came the next morning. "I appreciate your transparency and the thoughtful redirection of the campaign. While I am not making any commitments yet, I am willing to review the new concept and hear about the concrete changes being implemented at ElevateX." Meanwhile, the organizational changes accelerated. Jessica's suspension became permanent separation after the investigation confirmed multiple instances of inappropriate behavior. Several of her team members were reassigned or placed on performance improvement plans. Most significantly, the CEO announced a restructuring of the leadership team. A new Chief People Officer position was created, reporting directly to the CEO rather than under operations as HR had previously been. The digital department was elevated to equal standing with traditional creative services, with both reporting to Michael. In a move that shocked everyone, Michael asked me to lead a series of internal workshops on integrating digital and traditional marketing approaches. "Your Instagram demonstrates your ability to communicate complex strategies clearly," he explained. "We need that skill internally now." When we presented the reimagined campaign to Lux Elite, their initial skepticism quickly turned to enthusiasm. Their marketing director called it precisely the authentic approach today's consumers demand, and their CEO appreciated the alignment with their own efforts to improve manufacturing conditions. The final hurdle was Amanda's approval. Michael arranged a video call where our team presented the new concept directly to her and her management team. I led the presentation of the digital strategy, explaining how we would create genuine engagement rather than manufactured buzz. "What guarantees do I have that ElevateX has truly changed its culture?" Amanda asked after we finished. I cannot afford to associate with a company that might generate more negative headlines. Michael responded with unexpected candor. No guarantees. Culture change takes time, but we have taken concrete actions from leadership changes to new policies with real accountability. Most importantly, we are listening to our people, including those like Carrie, who had the courage to stand for what is right, despite personal risk. Amanda considered this, then looked directly at me through the screen. Carrie, do you believe in this new direction? Not just for the campaign, but for the company. All eyes turned to me. My answer would determine the fate of the campaign, and possibly my future at ElevateX. I believe in the potential, I answered honestly. I have seen meaningful changes already, though there is much more to do. What convinced me is that for the first time, leadership is acknowledging the problems instead of hiding them. That transparency gives me hope. Amanda nodded slowly. Send over the revised contract. I want the workplace dignity clause expanded and strengthened, but I am willing to move forward if those terms are acceptable. The video call ended, and the room erupted in relieved celebration. Michael shook my hand firmly. Well done. This is just the beginning of a whole new chapter for ElevateX. As we left the conference room, Rachel linked her arm through mine. So how does it feel to go from being mocked to becoming the company's digital strategy savior in less than a month? I laughed, the first genuine laugh since this ordeal began. Surreal. But it is not about vindication. It is about finally having the chance to create marketing that integrates the best of both worlds. And about toxic people facing consequences for once, Rachel added with a grin. I could not disagree with that. 6 months after what became known internally as the Amanda incident, the transformed campaign launched to tremendous public and industry response. Authentic Elevation generated 37% higher engagement than any previous Lux Elite campaign, with particularly strong performance among the coveted 25 to 40 demographic with disposable income. The documentary-style content featuring real conversations about ethical production and workplace dignity resonated deeply with consumers increasingly concerned about the human cost of luxury goods. Sales exceeded projections by 29% in the first quarter, and Lux Elite signed a 3-year contract with ElevateX, effectively tripling the value of the original campaign. Amanda Taylor became far more than a celebrity endorser. Her genuine interest in ethical business practices made her an authentic partner, and she frequently referenced the campaign in interviews as an example of marketing with integrity. Her social media followers responded enthusiastically to the behind-the-scenes content, creating a community of engaged consumers who felt personally connected to the brand values. The campaign was shortlisted for multiple industry awards, including Best Integrated Campaign and Most Innovative Digital Strategy. Trade publications featured case studies on how ElevateX had transformed a potential disaster into a groundbreaking success. The internal changes at the company proved even more significant than the campaign success. The independent investigation led to a comprehensive overhaul of company policies and practices. Mandatory training on workplace respect became a regular part of professional development, with specific modules addressing how seemingly casual mockery could create a hostile environment. A new anonymous reporting system was implemented, allowing employees to safely report problematic behavior without fear of retaliation. Most importantly, the culture began to shift as leadership demonstrated that creative disagreement was welcome, while personal disrespect had real consequences. My own position evolved dramatically. 3 months after the campaign launched, Michael called me into his office. We are creating a new position, he announced without preamble. Director of Digital Strategy, reporting directly to me. The role will lead our integration of traditional and digital approaches across all accounts. I want you to take it. The promotion came with a substantial salary increase, a team of 8 digital specialists, and a seat at the leadership table. My first official act was to promote Rachel to senior content strategist, recognizing the loyalty and support she had shown during the darkest days of the crisis. My Instagram following grew to 150,000 as my content evolved to include insights on workplace advocacy, alongside marketing strategy. I began receiving invitations to speak at industry conferences about both digital marketing trends and building respectful workplace cultures. At one such conference, I found myself on a panel with Amanda discussing the intersection of personal brand and corporate responsibility. During the Q&A, someone asked how companies could foster authentic marketing in an increasingly skeptical marketplace. Authenticity starts internally, Amanda answered, gesturing toward me. Companies cannot create genuine connections with consumers when they do not genuinely respect their own people. The most powerful marketing comes from organizations where employees feel valued enough to bring their whole selves to work. The journey from that painful Friday evening, when I overheard my work being mocked, to becoming a respected voice in the industry, was neither simple nor painless. There were moments of doubt, fear, and the temptation to either lash out in anger or retreat in shame. The hardest lesson was learning that standing in my truth, even when uncomfortable, was ultimately more powerful than either reaction. My healing process began with acknowledging the pain rather than minimizing it. The mockery had cut deep precisely because my Instagram represented authentic passion and effort. Recognizing the legitimacy of that hurt was the first step toward reclaiming my professional confidence. Building a support network proved crucial. Rachel's unwavering belief in my abilities provided stability when my self-confidence wavered. Later, Amanda's professional respect affirmed that my digital expertise had value regardless of internal politics. These connections reminded me that one toxic environment did not define my worth. Perhaps most challenging was developing the wisdom to distinguish between constructive criticism and malicious mockery. Feedback helps us grow, but cruelty only serves to diminish. Learning to recognize the difference protected me from both defensiveness and unnecessary self-doubt. The experience transformed not just my career trajectory, but my understanding of leadership. True influence comes not from title or authority, but from the courage to stand for what is right, especially when doing so involves personal risk. Sometimes the most powerful professional move is simply refusing to participate in a broken system. For those facing similar situations in their workplaces, remember that speaking your truth does not require burning bridges or dramatic confrontations. There is profound strength in quietly but firmly standing your ground, documenting what happens, and trusting that authenticity eventually reveals itself. The digital landscape has fundamentally changed how we work, creating tensions between traditional approaches and emerging platforms. Those who navigate this divide with integrity, respecting both established wisdom and new possibilities, will ultimately shape the future of their industries. As for ElevateX, the company continues its transformation. Not perfectly, not without occasional setbacks, but with a genuine commitment to creating a culture where respect and innovation coexist. The toxic elements that once defined the environment have been replaced by collaboration and mutual support. The most profound lesson from this experience is that our professional journeys rarely follow straight lines. The moments that seem like painful setbacks often contain the seeds of our greatest growth. What matters is not avoiding difficult situations, but how we choose to move through them, maintaining our integrity, even when others lose theirs. Have you ever stood up for yourself in a professional setting, even when it was risky? How did it change your career path? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need to hear that their authentic voice matters in the workplace. Thank you for listening to my journey from mockery to leadership, and remember that sometimes the path to success requires walking through fire first.